What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I am your host, Kory Willis. I hope you all are doing well on a Friday, getting ready for the weekend, wrapping up everything throughout the work week, and about to watch some college football over the weekend and hanging out with your friends and family. As always, I'm here with my good friend and co-host. You know who he is. He is Chris Bolton. What's going on, Chris?
What's going on, Kory? Man, I'm feeling good. Hold on, actually, real quick, I need to grab something. Hold on.
As Chris is doing that, folks, we appreciate you all in listening to the show, of course. So we're getting ready for what are we now? We are at week 10 of the college football season.
Kory. It gets cold out here, man. It's that November weather, man. You know what I'm saying? Them hits, they hit a little harder when it gets to be this time of the year. You know what I'm saying? You gotta brace, prepare for that cold, that wind. It's that real football weather.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Look, here in the Austin area, we got down to like the low 40s this week. So yeah, we're definitely feeling it.
If you're listening to the pod, not watching the YouTube, then I just had to go put a coat on. You know what I'm saying? Because it's that time of the year, baby. It's November. This is where seasons are made, and this is where seasons end. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? This is when it really happens, when it goes down. So I think that's the case for several teams this weekend, where everything you've been working for, it can come to an end, or you can stay continuing down that journey. We'll see what happens.
You are right, my friend. You know what happens in November, especially when we get those CFP rankings, and of course we'll talk about that briefly on today's show. But it's November. It's the gift that keeps on giving in college football. We're always seeing chaos around this time of the year, and this year. Yes. Will be no different, and I'm ready for it.
I think there is high chaos potential this week. High chaos potential. I mean, things can come tumbling, crashing down. You know, so we will see. But I'm ready for it. I wouldn't mind it. I'm here for all the chaos.
I never minded, of course. I'm like, just give me all the chaos that you can give me in college football. Just do it. Just do it. I very much appreciate it. You know, it puts a smile on my face.
We welcome the chaos.
Absolutely. I mean, how can you not? Hey, chaos brings ratings. I mean, what can you say?
Hey, in the words, like on Game of Thrones, man, chaos is the ladder. Shout out to my guy Littlefinger, the legend.
There you go. There you go. Well, Chris, this week is week 10. We're in November now, and we have a lot of games to discuss on today's show. And what better way to really kick off today's show by going into the SEC, where we do have a couple of big games coming up this week in the Southeastern Conference. We'll go ahead and start out with the game in Athens, Georgia, where the Georgia Bulldogs will host the Missouri Tigers this week, Chris. This is a game that I've been very much circling. I've circled this game on the calendar. I know a lot of other fans have also done the same thing as well. So I'm very much excited about this game. Vegas has Georgia as a 15.5 favorite, and the over-under is at 55.5. So They're looking at this game potentially being high scoring. I'm not sure if that's just without Brock Bowers and just how Missouri's been playing. I'm pretty sure all of this stuff factors into it. But overall, Chris, with this game being very high on my list, I am interested in seeing how Georgia performs in this game. I know last week they took care of business against Florida and won a game 43-20. But let's be honest, this Missouri Tigers team is for real. So I'm wondering how Georgia will come out in this game because this is a team that can get you. And I feel like Georgia's probably going to win the football game, but I am concerned by how the defense may play in this game. If they perform well, Georgia has this game in the bag. If not, this isn't going to be a cakewalk of a game because Brady Cook can get you. So
he can.
So yeah, I'm very much interested in seeing how both teams match up in this game. So what do you think overall?
This is a great matchup. I feel like there are several different outcomes that can happen in this ball game. I think there are several firsts for both teams in this ball game. This will be the first time Missouri has seen a secondary like Georgia's, the talent level that Georgia has, where they can really strap you up. You know what I'm saying? They can click on, they can grab that seatbelt, bring it over across your shoulder, over your chest, put it right there next to your hip, and you hear that click, and you know you strapped in. Georgia can strap you up. Then on the other hand, Missouri has an excellent group of wide receivers. Very talented group. Eli has done his thing in the recruiting, on the recruiting trail, has brought in some guys to Missouri. I mean, we all know about Luther Burden, but Theo Weiss Jr., Theo ain't no joke either. So
not at all.
He's a very good receiver as well. So I'm curious to see those two. I think those are very curious to see how those position groups, the receivers and DBs on both sides, on both teams, how they match up against each other. Because Luther can take the top off the defense. So we know what this Missouri team can do offensively. We've seen Georgia have dominant defenses over the years, and this defense is still a very good group. An excellent group. Might not be the ungodly monster that they were the last couple seasons, but they are still an excellent defense. And there's also that feeling, I think, of Missouri knowing we can win this game. Georgia didn't just run through everybody last year. As much as we remember that national championship where, they put the smack down on TCU, they had to climb out of a hole against this Missouri team last year, trailing by double digits in the fourth. Missouri very well, I'm sure they left that game saying we should have won.
Absolutely. You were at home. You almost had Georgia on the ropes. I mean, that team
had
was
them on the ropes. They
shaking.
They had Georgia looking like Muhammad Ali against George Foreman. It was just taking, just throwing punches and just taking them. But man, I think they have revenge. I think they have unfinished business on their mind in this game, and so I'm extremely curious and ready to see how this game plays out. I mean, there's a lot at play. If Missouri wins this game, we got to talk about them being in the playoffs. Like they will have the upper hand in the SEC East. They will own the tiebreaker over Georgia. That's how important this game is for both of these teams.
Absolutely. Like, can you imagine? I know we'll talk about the LSU Bama game in a little bit, but can you imagine if Missouri walks out of this game, walks out of Athens with a W?
Oh my goodness!
And LSU beats Bama. Like, there's no discussion. We're getting that game again in Atlanta.
That would be insane. And then that low key, I would be curious to see how everything looks at that point, because we might potentially be looking at the first time a 2-loss team makes the college football playoff. I think that's possibly at play.
Yeah.
If that plays out like that, that is a possibility, because then that means LSU has beaten Bama, a top 10 playoff team in the rankings. Missouri at that point would be a top 10, possibly top 6.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It gets interesting.
That looks really good on the resume.
It does. It does. You can go to the committee and be like, look, I mean, come on now. We took care of Georgia.
I want to find a way to have the SEC in the show. You know, we just got to keep it a buck.
Yeah.
LSU is a big national brand, you know. I mean, hey, it makes for a lot of intrigue.
Yeah.
But that'd be one crazy outcome if those two teams meet up again in the SEC championship.
I know. You just see both of them like, hey, look, Missouri's like, look, we took care of Georgia. LSU like, look, we took care of Bama. Look, I know we got the mulligan with the Ole Miss game and all that stuff, but we took care of Bama. And we're the ones that beat Missouri earlier in the year. We can do this.
And if they beat them, that means they beat them twice.
No.
If they end up beating them twice, that would be crazy.
That would be crazy. Watch us bring that game into existence as we're talking about it.
And yeah, that's man. I'm just over here shook. There's a lot going on, and then Ole Miss, they want to be in the party too. Look, they own the tiebreaker over LSU.
Yeah, so they're not out of it.
They're not out of it because then they got to play Georgia. I mean, it's so much, it's so much still at play.
Yes, it is. It is.
But to come back to week 10, before we get lost in that rabbit hole, this game is going to be I think it's going to be a good one. I know the spread really favors Georgia. I just, for some reason, still feel like it's going to be it's going to be a game in the fourth quarter. And maybe Georgia wins by 10. Maybe they pull away late. I think this is going to be a battle, though. I think Missouri is going to come ready. I think it's going to be a different offense they're going up against this year since it's Coach Bobo as the OC. You know, there's going to be a few things that are different schematically and systematically. But they know the personnel. I think they feel confident they can cover Georgia, especially missing Brock Bowers. Maybe this is the game where we kind of see Georgia have to overcome not having Brock. Carson Beck is on fire, but maybe we're going to see, though. Maybe this is the team. People thought Florida was the one that can, expose the Brock Bowers being out. Maybe it's Missouri, because that game last year was a defensive struggle. Teams they were not scoring points in that game last year. It was a low scoring game.
Nah,
so
not at all. Uh, no, you're absolutely right, Chris. It's going to be interesting what happens with both of these teams. Carson Beck right now, he has well over 2,000 yards passing, so as Brady Cook. So both of these quarterbacks are doing a very good job with throwing the football.
Mm-hmm.
Will this game become a shootout? It might. I'm going to guess. I'm going to run with what Vegas is saying, and that it's probably going to become a shootout. And which team has more in the tank to outlast in a shootout? I'm not gonna lie. Like, Missouri has that team. They're very good. They can get you. Like you said, Chris. Could this Missouri team be capable of stopping Georgia when they need to win the football game? Their defense is pretty good. I know their defense is starting to figure some things out as well. And they still have some playmakers on that defense, but gotta watch out for Missouri. I do think overall it's going to be closer than just 15.5 points. That's one thing I will say Vegas is probably off on. But yeah, overall I do think this is.
Yeah, I think they're factoring into that this game is in Athens, so I think you give Georgia some more points when you factor that.
That's understandable.
I just wonder. Carson Beck is really good, but I think every quarterback has a game where they just don't look like they have it, and I wonder if this is the game where that kind of gets exposed. Where they have to Georgia has to persevere and just grind out a W. I feel like everybody has that game.
Mm-hmm.
Can Missouri make Carson Beck look like the first year starting quarterback he is? You know what I'm saying? Granted, Carson is experienced now when we say he's been at Georgia for a while, but it's different when you're out there on the field and you're starting QB. And this would be his ninth career start. I mean, he's still, when you look at what it is, this is his first year as the quarterback. He's relatively inexperienced in these high leverage games. So I'm curious, can Missouri make it a game to where Carson has to make a play when it really matters, when it really counts? That's what I'm curious to see.
Yeah. I mean, last year you saw when Stetson Bennett could make those plays. You saw when he could make those throws. And that's what really won him over with the fans and that team and Kirby Smart. Can Beck do it? I think he has all the tools to do it. It's just we haven't seen it yet. That's why I say, like, this game is very, very much important, because this is going to be, if not the strongest test that Georgia faces in that division, in that West Division. So it's going to be interesting.
It is, and this is before the Ole Miss game too. I mean, it's tough. There's still a lot at hand here for that Georgia has to tackle. You know what I'm saying? This November is not going to be kind to the Bulldogs.
Not at all.
I'm pretty sure Kirby Smart will have the guys locked in. I'm sure he's telling them, They had us on the ropes last year. They're ready to come in your house and whoop your ass. I can hear Kirby now.
Look, get ready for the leaked audio of Curry Smart just going wild in the locker room. you know what I'm talking about, Chris. You know it's
Man,
coming.
I can hear him now, and that's the approach he should have. He needs to make sure this team is ready to play ball, because I think Missouri is going to come out in the first quarter. I think they're going to have some things scripted up and ready to put pressure on Georgia immediately.
I think so too.
This will be a fun one. I lean with Georgia based off of how crisp they looked last week against Florida without Brock.
Mm-hmm.
That gives me the comfort in knowing that this offense can move the ball and can put up points and put together very nice drives. I think Missouri covers. And I think they have a very good chance of leaving with a win. I'm not going to call the upset in this one, but I damn sure would not be surprised if Missouri was to win. But I'm not calling the upset in this one. I go Georgia 34-27. I'll say Georgia by 7.
Okay. I can feel you on that one. I'm kind of that same opinion that Georgia has the upper hand here. But I don't think they're gonna cover at all. I think Missouri is gonna have Georgia's number just enough throughout this game. But I do think Georgia's going to squeak out of this game with a W. So that's one of the reasons why
I can see Missouri winning at the end of 3. I can see Missouri ahead at the end of the 3rd, and this is a legit hustle, like squabble. Like this can be tough. This can be a tough one, because this is the year for Missouri. This is the year for Eli.
Yeah,
I think right now, Drink. He's the SEC Coach of the Year. Everybody has that. When you're not one of the premier SEC schools like a Alabama, like a Georgia, and normally like LSU, there's always that year in the cycle where everything has been building up to this moment where your team can win 9 games or more and do something really special. And this is that year for Missouri. This is that year. So Mississippi State had it in 2014. Ole Miss, we thought they had it with the Matt Corral year, but apparently Ole Miss is a legitimate SEC power now, because look at them right now. They are a top 12 team in the nation, and they only have one loss to Alabama. So apparently they're stringing these years together. But you know what I'm saying, though? Like, everybody has that time. Kentucky in 2021. That was a year for Kentucky where he put together 10 wins, won the Citrus Bowl. I mean, this looks like one of those seasons for Missouri. Can they get this one, though? They get this one. This is a huge game for this program and for Eli. This will be that signature win for his tenure at Missouri.
I definitely think so, and he's definitely due for that big win, that big signature win, while they're having the season that they're having.
And if there's a Georgia team to do it against that we've seen in the last 5 years, this is that team to get.
Yeah.
Not to say this ain't a really good team, but it damn sure ain't them the Monstars that's been on the football field the last couple seasons, and they took the Monstars to the brink last year.
I know. I know. It's just both teams are playing very well this year, and then like you said, I can see a scenario where Missouri, this is their time to shine, but overall, I can't count out Georgia.
It's hard to go against them in this one, man.
I can't count them out. I won't allow myself to do that.
Because it looks like Georgia is catching stride.
Right.
You know, as the season continues, teams improve. And Georgia has definitely improved from week 1 to week 10. And it looked like they are turning it up a notch. And I'm sure that's what Kirby has been planning all along. This isn't his first rodeo. He knows how to get his team together as the season continues. So I'm sure this is all a part of the plan.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this game. It's 2:30 p.m. game on CBS. So Athens is going to be rocking, and I can't wait to see what unfolds down there in UGA. But anything else, Chris, you want to add before we move on to the other big game in the SEC?
No, sir. We can keep it going on.
All right. Well, from Athens, Georgia to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Chris. The Alabama Crimson Tide will host the LSU Tigers this Saturday, right after that Missouri-Georgia game.
Man.
6:45 p.m. time.
It's going to be jumping this weekend, baby. They said we got Georgia, Missouri, and we got LSU, Alabama.
Look, if you CBS, you gotta do it.
They get all the ratings.
Look, they're not gonna be airing SEC games next season. Like, look, this is it. If you gonna go out with a bang,
don't remind me. I'm so sick. We not gonna hear that song again. Oh,
look, just
such a
take your
in my
phone
life.
out and just play it over the ESPN.
Bro, I'm gonna have to mute the. I don't even want to hear what ESPN is gonna be playing. I'm gonna have it on mute, and I'm gonna pull out my phone and go to YouTube. I'm gonna just play that every time at 3:30.
Oh my God, it's definitely gonna be weird to not see this game on a regular basis on CBS. But hey, LSU Bama. You know, we'll still get the rivalry.
We get this one on CBS.
Games. Yep. This will be the last time we see it on CBS before we go to ESPN. So, overall, Chris, what do you think about this week's game where Jalen Daniels takes on Jalen Milroe? I have to remember both Jalen's are in this game. Or Jaden Daniels. Excuse me.
Yeah, so this game is really interesting. Of course, it's Bama, LSU. So, you know, you anticipate this one being an extremely physical, tough game. P-Town is going to be rocking if it ain't already rocking right now. So, LSU, extremely talented team, very, very fast bunch. Daniels, if he doesn't have the losses, the 2 losses already, probably everybody has crowned Michael Penix, but Daniels needs to be a finalist as well, the way he's been playing this year, man. He's been filling it up. Daniels is He's him.
Can I tell you his stats?
Go ahead. Tell the people his stats. I know him. Just go ahead and say him though.
All right. I mean, right now, Jaden Daniels, he's thrown well over 2,000 yards, 2,573 yards, 25 touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions for the season. It's just a remarkable season from Jaden. He's already been breaking records down there in Baton Rouge. So
yeah, if the season ends today, he is your SEC Player of the Year.
I think so too. I think you have to give it to him because there's really no one else that's like close to contending with him
at all. So no. So he walks onto this field as the best quarterback in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a plus for LSU. Another plus for LSU. Jalen Milroe is a good dual threat QB, but he's not the best passer. And the weakness of your defense is your secondary. Can Jalen Milroe expose your secondary in the ways that Missouri exposed LSU's secondary? Jackson Dart and Ole Miss exposed LSU's secondary. Jordan Travis and Florida State exposed their secondary. Can Jalen Milroe do so with an offensive line that isn't the best offensive line? And I know LSU's pass rush hasn't been what it's been in years, but I don't think that's the case this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it, and this is just me playing a little devil's advocate in this, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Both of these teams' secondaries has not played up to the standard of what it means to play on both of these teams' defenses.
Mm-hmm.
In past, we've had tons of great players.
Yes.
In the secondary for both LSU and Alabama. We've seen the Patrick Petersons.
Yeah.
We've seen the Honey Badgers.
We've seen the Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, we've seen the Minkah Fitzpatricks. Like we've seen all of that over the years, and now it's kind of funny seeing both of these teams battle against each other when at this point in time it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens when both of these teams face each other. So I'm interested in seeing the quarterback battle between Daniels and Milroe. Who can get the ball out more? Who can torch whose defense the most?
Right, and I like LSU's number one receiver more than Alabama's, Malik Neighbors, Sunday player. I'm curious to see how Alabama schemes up Bond. Bond has shown himself to be a dynamic, electric player at receiver for Alabama. Jermaine Burton can make plays as well. I feel like he's more of a high flying receiver, someone that can go up and make incredible grabs, but that also leaves the opportunity for those plays to not be made. He's a great 50-50 ball receiver. But I think Bond brings something to Alabama's offense that they've been lacking this season, and that's electricity. That's someone who can who can house a play, who can get a touchdown and house it. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. Just go 60 yards to the crib. And so I'm curious to see how involved he'll be in the game plan. But I think some things line up for LSU. A secondary that we know is not that great, but Alabama is only 3-point favorites. Vegas knows. They know LSU. You can't just say they dead. They are dead. I don't think so. And I know Brian Kelly, everything that's happened this year, he wants this one badly. He's ready to shove it up some people's, you know what. He wants this one badly because everybody's trying to write off LSU. And boy, would that be something if Alabama loses 2 big-time games at home this season.
It's definitely not going to energize the fan base. You know what? It might energize the fan base. It's not going to be in a positive way.
At all.
It's not going to be a positive way.
Man. I think Alabama has to get the running game going. I just don't know if Milroe can expose this secondary. I'm not confident. I think Harold Perkins will be making his name known in this game. He already is known, but I think he's going to. We haven't seen him just live in the backfield this season. I think he'll be up for this one. I expect him to have a couple sacks.
I think so too. It's just I think we failed to see this offensive line, Chris, for Alabama really protect Milroe in a consistent fashion. Like, this guy is always in that backfield, just ready to scramble, ready to try to make a play because the pocket is just collapsing every time in front of him. It's nothing that he can do, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see that type of athleticism from Jalen Milroe.
I think his legs will have to be working for sure in this one.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. Like, it's amazing to see that he, out of all of the issues with that offensive line, he still makes plays. And it's going to be interesting to see, can he keep that up this Saturday?
Right. There's times I've watched, when I've watched Alabama this year, they can really, like, they can rack up some 3 and outs. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've put together some nice drives, but like when this team is in a rut, they will go like a couple drives in a row where they go 3 and out, and I just don't know how. We know their defense is very good this year. I just don't know how many times you can go 3 and out against LSU and the way Jaden Daniels is playing. I know it's on the road. I know it's a road game. I'm going with LSU. I think LSU pulls off the upset. We mentioned chaos is a ladder. I think they get chaos weekend going too this weekend. I think LSU gets the win, and Alabama suffers their first loss in the SEC this year. Still in line to play in the to possibly, have hopes of playing in the SEC championship. It will all depend on how LSU closes out the season, but I think LSU takes this one. I think Daniels, this is his Heisman moment. I think LSU still has a chance to make the playoff with the win in this one. I think this is the stage where everybody's talking about Michael Penix. I think Daniels goes out here and puts on a performance leading his team to a huge road win in Tuscaloosa and solidifies himself as a finalist for the Heisman Trophy.
If that happens, crown him. To me. And I'm going to go ahead and say I think LSU wins this game too. I think they win this game. I think they win this game at least by 14 points.
You think the offense is just going to be too much?
I think so. I think so. I can't name anyone on that secondary that's gonna stop Malik Neighbors. Like I'm sorry, Kool-Aid McKinstry. I don't think you have a chance. Your group doesn't have a chance to stop this game.
It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be so tough the way they play ball.
56 receptions, 981 yards for the season, 9 touchdowns. That's Malik Neighbors. That's coming into your backyard that you got to defend. I just don't see it, Chris.
I'm not mad at you. I think it's going to be very tough. I think it's a close one. Honestly, I think LSU gets the game-winning drive. I think this game is going to be tied late, but I think LSU will have the ball. I think Jaden it's that Heisman moment, man. He gets that drive, takes him down the field, and LSU hits that game-winning field goal, and they walk it off like that. I think it's going to be one of those games. But I would not be shocked if LSU kind of runs off on Alabama, which would be something to see. But I just think this is one of the matchups where it is still at home now for Alabama. It's a little different in Oregon, Utah. I think Alabama makes some plays. They have talent on that team. But I think ultimately LSU will win this game. They will prevail. Their offense will be too much, whether it's on the final drive or maybe it's just they break away in the fourth and win by a couple scores. And Alabama just can't answer back. But I think LSU, I think we're seeing eye to eye though. I think LSU, they get this one, and Brian Kelly, that man sleeps with the smile from Alabama all the way to Baton Rouge on his face.
Then he gives you that country southern twang.
That twang is going to be twanging in that post game interview after that win.
He's going to be celebrating, Chris, with his family. His family. As he should.
Yes.
You take that Alabama and Tuscaloosa. You should be celebrating with your family. And I'll be happy.
But I would too. Because kind of look back on the season, like A&M very well could have left that Alabama game with the win. They just didn't have the offense to do it.
Right.
I think LSU's defense plays one of its better games this year. And I think the Tigers, they leave with the win.
I think so
because LSU has the offense to do it.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. I think they have the offense to do it this week, and yeah, I'm going ahead with the LSU pick as well, Chris. So it's one of those seasons that Alabama has had where they look like they've started to figure some things out, but this is the wrong week to to still go in playing the style of defense that I know that they've been playing, where they're just not as dominant as they've been in the past, and the offensive line has been up and down. Like this is going to be the quintessential wrong week for Alabama. When you omit that Texas game.
I can see that too, man. Like, and Texas won off of big plays. They had guys that can go downfield, and LSU has guys that can make big plays. Don't be shocked if Malik Neighbors has a couple of TDs in this game, let alone one.
I know. that's what you should be worried about.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kory. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait. It's one of the more interesting weekends in the SEC that we've seen all season. So,
yeah, you got some good teams going up against each other, and you got some teams that a little smelly, but you know. That's why we play the games. We're gonna see how it plays out.
That's the reason why you play the game. Yeah, absolutely. So it's gonna be an interesting slate of games in the SEC.
Arkansas,
overall.
Florida,
yeah,
A&M, Ole Miss.
Yeah,
that has upset potential.
Mm-hmm.
Jimbo, he be as much as we dog Jimbo, he be finding ways to get one. That one you just don't see coming. He finds a way somehow.
Look,
he's gonna need this one to keep his job.
Are you implying that this might be a little bit later on Bolton's bets? Are you implying that, sir?
Oh no. Look, brother. If it's one thing I done learned, I don't put my money on Jimbo. Not my hard-earned cash. I am not placing my pennies on that man.
Look, just scoot your money, place it somewhere else. Like,
you might as well go.
Trust Jimbo Fisher.
You might as well give it to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Don't give it to Vegas by betting on Jimbo. Give it to someone you know.
No,
make it a gift.
Yeah, exactly. You know, be smarter with your money, folks. That's all we're trying to say on the show. So.
Facts.
Oh man, but yeah, Chris. Anything else you want to add to the Bama LSU game before we move on?
No, sir. We can keep it going.
All right. Well, we are going to head out west now, Chris, where the Washington Huskies will take on the USC Trojans this Saturday, 6:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC. This is a interesting game, Chris. On Tuesday, we did get the rankings, of course, for the CFP, and right now Washington is done in that number 5 spot right now. Can they keep that spot this week, Chris? Can they capitalize off of all of the mistakes and all of the deficiencies overall that USC has made with their team, specifically their defense? I say their defense has not been strong. And can Michael Penix Jr. and company take care of business?
This is an interesting game too, because I struggle personally to really get a read on what's going to happen in this game. I'm just being honest. This is a game my money would not be touching.
This is a weird game.
It's a very weird game. My money would not be touching this game. If you place a bet on Alabama LSU, let it be in a crazy 7-leg parlay that you just put a couple dollars on, because I don't want no parts of Alabama and LSU in any of my bets either. But this game, it's almost like who do you think? What do you think is like in worse shape? Do you really think do you think Washington they're just not that good after seeing them play the last couple of weeks? Like, or do you believe that USC can't be fixed? Like they are truly down bad. Like this program is in shambles. Is which one do you think is worse? Who and when you decide that, I think that's how you pick who's going to win this game. I have not liked what I've seen from Washington at all the last since the Oregon win. I feel like that team. I feel like Washington has peaked.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to get back how they were against Oregon. That might have been the best we will see Washington play this season. Truthfully,
No, I agree with you. I mean, you win against Arizona State 15-7.
with no offensive touchdowns, and your quarterback is the front runner for the Heisman, that is a red flag.
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree, Chris. And then on top of that, October 28th, you defeated Stanford away 42-33, a team that you're supposed to mollywop.
In the game that we highlighted last week, if Stanford converts that fourth down that was in the receiver's hands, they win.
Exactly.
They win. They should have won that game. Another red flag.
This team just has tons of red flags just all around it right now. But they're undefeated. It's like, why worry, guys? We're winning, right? It's like, no.
Right.
How this works.
Right. That's what they're telling everyone. And then you look at USC, and this program is a walking joke this season. They should have lost to Cal. They were down 14 in the fourth.
I don't know how they muscle that out.
Cal self-imploded. All the turnovers, the fumbles, they just self-imploded. Cal should have beat them.
I agree.
Both of these teams are not that good.
They're not.
Which makes it so hard to pick this game.
I know.
I'll say this. USC has shown that they can run the football. Washington struggles to run the football, despite having a couple good backs. I guess it's an offensive line thing. I feel like Dylan Johnson is a really good running back. We've seen what he can do at Mississippi State. I know I'm not knocking his ability to be a good rusher.
Me either.
But for some reason, Washington has struggled to run the ball consistently. And so I think when you factor that in with USC's struggling defense, they can at least know that they need to stop. They can key in on stopping the passing attack of Washington. And maybe they have enough talent to where their front seven if they can keep this trend of Washington struggling to run the football going, I lean towards USC finding a way to get the win. This game is at Southern Cal, correct?
Yes.
I mean, Caleb Williams, as much as he struggled, he still is an elite prospect at quarterback. I would not be betting this. I think USC finds a way to win this game. I think they might have some. This. You think the Vince Carter meme? I got one more in me. I think USC got one more in them. As much as we want to leave them for dead and how poorly they've played this season, I think they win. I just don't like what I've seen from Washington, man. one time is okay. You have a bad game. Florida State had a bad game against Boston College, and since then they've gotten their act together.
Yeah, like you can't even. That's a tale of two different Florida State teams.
Yes,
At this
yes.
point.
This is starting to be a trend with Washington. This is multiple weeks. You know what I'm saying? This is back to back.
Yeah.
As bad as USC is, they still have talented players. I think USC can expose them. I think USC wins. There, I said it. I said
it. After what you see so far, Chris, with USC, you still just look at this team. You just like, you know what, y'all are gonna be eating good on Saturday night. That's what makes this game so weird. This may be the weirdest game that we've ever seen. I know that there's probably I'm sure that there's some other candidates of weird college football games throughout history, but for this season, for this day and age in college football, I don't know what to say. Like both of these teams were looked at as they both had cases to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, like,
and Washington still very well can.
Washington still can, but by the way that they've been looking the last couple weeks, I mean,
it feels like they are
the worst you can make is probably the Rose Bowl.
Man, yeah. It doesn't look good. It hasn't been pretty, and I don't say that to say. I mean, Washington can come out here and win this game. You know, maybe USC's defense is so bad, and this is a get right game for Washington, and they pick their defense apart.
Yeah,
that's a possibility too. I just. My football mind, just watching these games, this is so tough. So tough to analyze to me, I feel like. But I think, unlike Stanford and unlike Arizona State, I think USC has a Heisman-winning quarterback. They have NFL guys on that offense. They have the pieces on USC to do what those other teams couldn't, and that's truly expose this defense and some of their struggles, and defensively possibly really put the clamps on them, and maybe USC kind of runs away with this win. It's possible.
No, you're right. It's everything that I just said. Of course, it's a weird game. Washington could very well come out and handle business, but USC, as long as Caleb Williams is out there and he's still balling, they got a chance to at least have something that they can hold on to this season. They haven't had the best season that they wanted. They haven't had the season that they wanted. But knocking down the number 5 team that has playoff aspirations, hey.
You got to be able to get up for this one.
Exactly. You got to. If you can't get up for this game, why are we here?
If you can't get up for this game, and if USC gets smacked, is Lincoln Riley going to be here? I'm not saying he gets fired, but does he just find him another job? Does he just leave for the NFL? Does he jet? Like, there's real institutional problems at USC at hand if they get thumped Saturday. because this Washington team is entering this game low key reeling, like scathing by getting wins. It's not like they're humming. Washington does not look like a top 10 team in the nation, let alone they don't look like one of the 15. Kansas State looks better than Washington. We'll talk about them later. But there are teams like that. Unranked Oklahoma State, Iowa State. I mean, there are teams in the Big 12 right now. I just named 3 that look better than the team that is currently the 5th ranked team by the CFP. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's looking if you've been looking at these games the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
That tells you all you need to know.
It's something. It's something else. All I can say is we're just gonna have to sit back, Chris, and see what unfolds between both of these teams.
I'm not. You couldn't put the money in my hand and tell me to bet on this game.
Nah, I just walk away.
Yeah.
I just walk away and like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Thank you for the bread. Thank you for the cash. I'll put it in my pocket. But
give me a better game.
I have no read on this game, truthfully. I can see different outcomes of how it plays out, but I am not confident one bit in how it plays out.
Right.
I have zero confidence. I will be sitting down and I will be watching this game. I will have it up as well with the other games on at that time, but I will truly be looking at this one just invested in how it plays out, because I don't understand. I don't know how it will. I really don't. This, like you said, this is one of the wildest games that has been on the slate this year, with how these teams have been performing leading up to it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen this Saturday, Chris. I know
Who do you have?
Who do I have? I'm picking USC. I honestly think now that USC has lost 2 games this season, I don't think they're going to lose another game. That's just my opinion. I think they're going to run the rest of the table with their schedule.
You think even possibly beating Oregon?
Maybe.
If they run the table, that'll put them back in some conversations with how things can be playing out this weekend.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
There's that slight chance that they can try to get back in the CFP.
There is an outside chance.
They're still ranked. They're ranked 20th right now. So it is a slight chance, but they need a lot of help. But
they're gonna need some help. But this weekend, I think this is chaos weekend.
Right.
And I think there can be a lot of help that happens this weekend.
Look, you can only control what you can control. So I mean, I'm looking for USC to actually upset Washington and let the chaos commence. I know I said Washington at the worst they can do is a Rose Bowl. I lied. The Rose Bowl is a playoff finals. I don't think that if they lose this game,
it's the opposite. That's the best they can do.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. That's the best that they can do. I think honestly we're. Because I think it's fine for us to start getting close to looking at bowl projections a little bit. I mean, they can make the Fiesta Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think Washington, from what we're seeing resume wise on the field, they look that good right now to probably still make a New Year's Six, and the Fiesta Bowl would probably be a likely place for them. But Rose Bowl, I don't think that's happening. Sugar Bowl, not happening. Um, so yeah, I do think because we're in that week of chaos, everything's in front of USC, and I'm picking USC to win this football game. So
Gotcha. Me too.
awesome. So anything else, partner, that you want to mention about before we move on?
No sir, no sir. We can keep it going.
All right. All right. So now we are going to head to Austin, Texas, Chris, where the Texas Longhorns will host the Kansas State Wildcats this weekend. It's going to be an 11 a.m. kickoff game on Fox. So one of those big noon kickoff
Big
games
noon, baby.
that we'll get to see.
Gus and Clatt.
Yeah, I, man, I love that team. They really know how to up the ante with their commentating and really
Mm-hmm.
make a lot of these games special. But yeah, Texas is a 4-point favorite in this football game, Chris, and the over under is at 49.5. So for me, I am taking. It's so weird with this game because you don't have Quinn Ewers. Malik Murphy's in his place right now, but I'm still going to take Texas to win this football game because they're at home. Um, they play very well when they're at home. They haven't lost a game this season at their place, so DKR is going to be rocking, and I look for Texas to take care of business. What do you think about this game, Chris?
This game it's another one that's so interesting. When you look at the talent pool, Texas has the guys. I mean, no offense to Kansas State, they have good players, but just Texas, they have the bullets in the chamber. I mean, they have the athletes on both sides. Their D line is stingy for Texas. The defense has played very well this year. The offense has had explosive plays. But like that's kind of what they've been leaning on. The things that is bad at, Kansas State is great at. Texas is a terrible red zone team. The critical mistakes they had against Oklahoma reared its ugly head. That's why Oklahoma won that game because Texas did not take advantage in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Kansas State's defense is one of the top 10 defenses at red zone defense.
That's an interesting stat right there.
And Texas is literally one of the bottom third teams at red zone efficiency. I think they're ranked like 120th. Like it's bad.
Wow.
Kansas State, one of the best third down offenses. One of the best teams at protecting the football. They don't have the athletes for real. They do have good players. I'm curious to see how the duel between Stark and Kleiman goes. Kleiman, he needs a signature win. He hasn't beaten Texas. They've won the Big 12. won the Big 12 last year. They didn't beat Texas last year. So, K-State needs this one. I like Will Howard, the quarterback. But I think the X factor in this game is Avery Johnson. He's their dual threat guy that they bring in. Johnson, if Kansas State is going to get the running game going in this ball game, I think they want to.
Mm-hmm.
I think Johnson will be a huge player in this one if Kansas State pulls off the upset, because he is that guy that can make plays. He has the legs, the wheels, to where a Texas team that can obtains from running the football conventionally, he can be K-State's like Taysom Hill, where you bring him in and he makes plays. He's dynamic. He gets you a first down when you need it, and in that red zone can be a true X factor to help K-State get scores. I'm curious to see how Malik Murphy plays in this game. We know he's extremely talented. Extremely talented. But he made some mistakes in that BYU game that, of course, BYU was not going to take advantage of, because they're BYU and Texas is just more supremely talented than them. But Kansas State is a well-oiled machine. And I'm telling you, Kory, ever since they lost to Oklahoma State earlier in the season, this team has put it together, and they look like one of the best teams playing football right now in the country. I said it's chaos weekend. I'm taking Kansas State.
Wow.
I think the things that, like I said, the things that Texas struggle with, Kansas State, they are really good at. And so I think it's not going to be like Kansas State just smacks Texas. That talent will be a factor. Like these teams will be going at it. Texas will have their explosives. Like, I think Malik Murphy does connect on a couple big plays. I mean, he makes some plays. So I think this will be a back and forth affair that's going to the wire. But I think when it comes down to it, I think Kansas State makes a play defensively. I think they kind of take advantage of the fact that Quinn Ewers is not the quarterback in this game. And I think the defense gets a big play. I think Kansas State wins a close one at the end. I think this is going to be a great game, though. But I think Kansas State finds a way. I think they are able to effectively run the football, which they will need to do. And they make enough plays in the passing game. And like I said, Avery Johnson will be the name that if Kansas State gets this win, I think Avery Johnson is going to be a big reason why. I think he will be their dynamic player that leads them to victory in this one.
Nice. So, I mean, for me, I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of K-State play this year, but I do hear a lot of people say that this team can sneak up on you, just like who we'll talk about to wrap up the show, Oklahoma State. But yeah,
there's a reason the line is so close.
I think so too. Just because K-State is much more aligned with what Texas doesn't want to defend, but they're going to have to in this game. Like, they're dangerous. They're a dangerous football team that Texas they have no luxury of letting a game like this slip away and sleep.
And yes, and that's what Texas normally does. This is their chance to prove we are not the normal Texas team.
Look, this is an important game. I will agree with you on that one because, like we've talked about it all season about how it's always this constant lull in the first half with Texas, and then like the second half they just turn it up a notch. I don't think you should be doing that this week with a team like this that's playing very well. I mean, and we
the
all
same
know
team
about
struggled with to get a win against Kansas State. Thumped them.
Exactly.
Beat them by 40. Mm-hmm. Didn't give up a point. I mean,
yeah, it's like Kansas State is not the team that you should be playing around with, especially at this time of the season. So,
Doc Rivers say, "Don't play with your meat. don't play around with them."
Exactly. Oh my gosh! But yeah, I think you're right that this team has playmakers. Will Howard, he has over 1,000 yards for this season, 14 touchdowns, thrown 7 picks, but he's kind of
he's turned it around lately.
Yeah.
They had their struggles early in the season. Everybody wanted to write Kansas State off after losing to Missouri. Mm-hmm. Well, little did everybody know Missouri is a real deal. So that's not such a bad loss.
Right. It's not. So I look at him. I look at Avery Johnson. Of course, Avery Johnson with just 268 yards. He's thrown 2 touchdowns this season. Just kind of looking over a couple of the people on the roster right now. Giddens, their running back, he's had over 100 carries this year, 116 carries, well over 700 yards rushing right now and 7 touchdowns. He has 722 yards rushing with those 7 TDs. So, I mean, they, like you mentioned about them running the football, they very well could run the football in this football game and try to tire out this Texas team. So,
that's the game plan.
Yeah, I think that should be the game plan if you're Kansas State. You really want to set the tone and punch Texas in the mouth. That first half, I'd say, and then also see what happens in the second half.
I will give this note: if Texas really does come out here and if Texas gets this win, I think the X factor for Texas is Sark. I think Sark is going to have to cook. He's going to cook up some stuff. This is Sark's chance to I ain't got Quinn, but I'm going to still put Malik in position to shine and make some big plays. So I think he opens up the playbook. And I think he lets Malik Murphy let it loose. And if he can make the throws, that is the gateway to Texas, not letting this be a close game. Is if Malik can actually make the plays. K-State's secondary is vulnerable. Mm-hmm. We know Texas has A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, guys that can expose your secondary.
Right.
It's just whether is spring game Malik Murphy going to be playing? The guy that was dotting it up out there?
Yeah.
Or is this 95,000 screaming fans at this game watching me, a tough, disciplined Kansas State team I'm playing against, It's a big stage. I ain't never been on a stage like this. Does he play like he's never been on a stage like this? That's what comes to question. Again, we got to see does the quarterback can he make the plays like we said about Milroe?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see can he do it. I think he has a couple games under his belt. I think Malik Murphy knows what's at stake here. I think Quinn
And he
Ewers
chose to
has
stay at
told him
Texas.
that. Yeah,
He could have very well been somewhere else starting right now.
absolutely. So I think he's capable of still leading this offense to victory. It's just when you're playing against a team like Kansas State that prides themselves on not making many mistakes. They want to play physical football with you. Can you can Malik Murphy handle it?
Can this Texas team score touchdowns when they are in the red zone and you need to walk away with a TD?
Yeah.
If they're walking away with field goals or even worse, turnovers, it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign.
Yeah. It's not. It's not. And I'm looking at the stats right now. Like the third down conversions, like Kansas State being ranked 4th in third down conversions, and Texas being ranked 64th. Whew. Like, what happens when you need to make that big third down play, Chris?
Mm-hmm. And that's where Texas defense will be key. Can they keep K-State off schedule? Because a lot of what Kansas State being able to convert those third downs is you're putting your offense in a quality position when it's 3rd and 4
Right.
or 3rd and 2. Those are manageable third downs. It's a lot tougher when it's 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9. So can Texas get them off schedule? That'll be key for the defense.
I agree. I agree. I mean, just seeing a stat like that, this team really knows how to get downfield. And knowing what we know about Texas and knowing that their first halves are always slow starts, I don't think you want to see Kansas State getting third down like that.
And you don't want them to jump ahead of you to where they can truly dictate the pace of this game and like string together drives.
Exactly. Because you got a lot of ground to make up for if that happens.
Right. It's already one thing that this is a high pressure game. The first big start for Malik Murphy. You don't want to amplify it and make it that much more filled with pressure. If he has to feel the effects of being down 14-3 in the second quarter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know he's been in situations before. He's a football player. But we are all human. Everybody feels that pressure when they're down at home when they should not be down at home. So I don't think you want it to end up being one of those games where you're down a couple scores early.
Right.
So
it's gonna be interesting, man. I can't wait for this game.
It's gonna be a fun one. I say all that. I am not by any means saying Texas can't win this game. Texas can come out here and maybe they connect on the explosives, and Malik Murphy lets the world know, hey, I know Quinn is him. I'm kind of him too. Like maybe this is his coming out party. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But I'm not anticipating it. But there is a world where Texas, like I said, they got the players. Like this roster goes tick for tack with anybody else in the country. Like Texas is legit. There was all this talk that you live in Austin. this team wasn't hyped up for no reason. Like they got the guys.
No, you're right. I mean, Worthy, Ewers, like we can go on and on. Like this team, like heading into the preseason and fall camp and all that stuff. Like this team was destined for greatness, and what not looking at the Red River rivalry game, beating Alabama was breathtaking to a lot of people in Austin. So a lot of those Texas fans were they were out here saying like we're back. Like that's always the joke.
How much I love Texas coming into the season. Mm-hmm. I had that Texas beating Alabama dialed up week 0. I mean, so, but as the season goes on, I've been able to see some games.
Yeah.
I'm just a little nervous for Texas. The upset alert should be at a high. It should be ringing. The alarm should be sounded. They need to come ready.
Yeah, they're gonna have to come ready. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in this game. Can they take care of business, or can Kansas State have Texas's number and really make them pay? More specifically for me, in that first half of that game, if they come out clicking on all cylinders and they're really pushing around Texas in that first half, I'd say look for a long day for Texas. But if they find something in them, offensively, defensively, to have a complete game, because I think that's what a lot of fans are looking for. They're looking for that complete game. That's not the Alabama game that Texas has under their belt. If they can do that, then I think they're on the right track. But we'll see.
I agree.
We'll see. But yeah, partner. Anything else you want to add to this game before we talk about the last game that we're going to talk about today?
Let's get to it.
All right.
Yes, sir. All right. Talk. Speaking of chaos. There's nothing more chaotic than this game.
Look, that's the reason why. This is the reason why I made this game one of the final games we were going to go through was Bedlam. OU taking on Oklahoma State. Another team that I haven't had too much experience watching this season is the Oklahoma State Cowboys right now, but they're 6-2, 4-1 in conference play. Oklahoma 7-1, 4-1 in conference play. As of right now, Oklahoma, of course, is at the top of the Big 12. Oklahoma State is third in the Big 12 standings right now. So this is a very important game, I should say. When we're looking at the standings for the Big 12 championship right now. Right now, Vegas has OU as a 6-point favorite, and the over/under is at 61.5. So, this is going to be another one of those big games this week that I can't wait to see. With Oklahoma State being this, I guess you could say, sneaky team that can get you just like K-State. Will they have enough in the tank to knock out Dylan Gabriel? Last week, I mean, we saw what happened against OU, losing to Kansas. I'm gonna have to say, Chris, I think Oklahoma State might be cooking right now, late in the season. And for OU, it's not good when you're not really being able to throw the football the way that you want to, especially with the players that they have out there, receiver, and their defense is kind of like wishy-washy at times. I don't think this is a really good matchup. Well, I think it's a good matchup for Oklahoma State, but for OU, I don't think this is a good one for them at all. What do you think?
OU has had their struggles. Like, the only difference is, unlike Washington, they actually got beat.
Exactly.
I mean, they played bad. They were exposed a bit by UCF. And then we saw what happened last week against Kansas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Oklahoma is interesting. They actually found their running game last week, but to no avail.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma State, they have a true man, a specimen. As we like to say, when you look at his bio, it says beast. Like we said that with Marvin Harrison Jr.
Absolutely.
It says the same damn thing next to Ollie Gordon's name. Ollie Gordon is a beast. Kory, if you happen to, do you mind pulling up his game log so we can tell the people his performances over the last few weeks as the running back at Oklahoma State?
Why?
I don't think he's doing things at Oklahoma State, not to compare him as a player to Barry Sanders, but the things he's doing at running back, only few have done at Oklahoma State. And Barry Sanders, he might be the best back we done seen come out of that program in a while. Truthfully.
Yeah, so I gotta pull it up. My goodness. So so I'm just gonna go in order from beginning of the season to pretty much now. This man has a steady climb in rushing yards. So first game, 7 carries, 44 yards, 1 touchdown. That was the first game. Second game, 9 carries, 53 yards, 1 TD. Third game, 3 carries, just 12 yards. Fourth game, 18 carries, 121 yards, no touchdowns. Against Kansas State, 21 carries, 136 yards with 1 touchdown. Versus Kansas, he had 29 carries, 168 yards, 1 touchdown. West Virginia, 29 carries, 282 yards, 4 touchdowns. My goodness. And pretty much last week against Cincinnati, he had 25 carries for 271 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, yeah,
he's cooking.
He is cooking. He's already well over 1,000 rushing yards this season, Chris. He has,
and that's after the slow start.
Yeah, that's after the slow start with 10 touchdowns. He's averaging almost 8 yards a carry.
Ollie Gordon is a bad man. I really like this Oklahoma State team. They have their deficiencies too. They aren't the best passing team.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, I mean, as you see, they're leaning on Gordon. But why not when he's playing the way he is? But
I agree.
the struggles they had to start the season passing the football have to an extent been rectified, and they are a solid. They have been able to make enough plays in the air to continue to win football games.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can establish Gordon, like I think they will, I think that will continue, and they'll make enough splash plays to where they might even get a couple touchdowns in the air off of play action passes and get that Oklahoma secondary and Oklahoma defense to really be glued in on Gordon and go over the top.
Mm-hmm.
I think Oklahoma, they have a chance as well. They're not by any means unable to win this game, but they will have to figure some things out on offense. They were able to run the football. Is the fact that they couldn't throw the ball last week, is that because of the circumstances of the weather? Or is that because Dylan Gabriel, he peaked against Texas and just had the game of his life?
That's been a heck of a way to peak and fall.
I'm sure Texas fans are wishing why he had to peak against us. But, can he get it back together and throw the ball well? That Kansas game, he made a couple reads where he took a little too long to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that pick six happened against Kansas. You can't have that against Oklahoma State.
No.
Can't have that in this one. This is Bedlam. I know the energy was on a different level in the Cotton Bowl for that Oklahoma-Texas game for the Red River shootout.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was. I think Bedlam, this game at Oklahoma State will be the most ruckus and wildest environment that any Oklahoma player will ever play in their life. This particular game, it will rival any game in hostility and craziness and crowd noise. This is the last Bedlam that we will see in the foreseeable future.
Makes me sick.
This is the hottest ticket in Oklahoma. Probably the hottest ticket since the damn Thunder being in the NBA Finals. And we know how long ago that was. This is the game. This game, you will hear this crowd throughout Stillwater. I don't know if Oklahoma will win this one, man. I'm not saying that they can't. But Dylan Gabriel, he is up for a challenge. That place will be juiced up. And Oklahoma needs to make a statement drive early to quiet that place down as soon as possible. Because do not let them go 3 and out. Don't let them get the ball and they go 3 and out, or they may have a turnover. I mean, it's going to feel like the world is just falling, just unraveling with how wild and crazy that place will be. I'm going with Oklahoma State.
I am too. I'm going with OK State. With this being potentially the last Bedlam game that we'll see in the Big 12 and just in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think this Oklahoma State team is primed and prepped to take on this Oklahoma team that's, I think, they're better than last year, but they're not all the way there yet to be.
Let's just be real. They were not supposed to be Texas.
That competitive. No. I think they looked into that.
They weren't supposed to be Texas. They are a good team. They have talent. but they aren't. I don't think they're ready to like be that team this year. Maybe next year.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little ahead of schedule in my eyes. Yeah. And I think Oklahoma State is playing some of the better football in the country. I think they are a team that deserves to be ranked.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should be ranked right now. So I'm going with Oklahoma State. That's my pick in this one.
Awesome. Yeah, I think Oklahoma State has it in them.
And if that's the case, this is true. This is true.
Yeah,
true craziness this weekend. Some of the picks we have pan out.
I know. It's I think we're on the same wavelength, of course, with just how this week can potentially go. A lot of teams are starting to peak at the right time, and I think that's a recipe for chaos. So
chaos is the ladder. I mean, we are potentially looking at Alabama, Washington, Texas, Oklahoma, and also Georgia possibly. I mean, they all can lose. Penn State is playing against Maryland this weekend before they take on Michigan.
They have to go to Maryland.
I ain't saying Maryland's going to win, but I ain't saying Maryland can. We just saw the game Penn State had against Indiana. Indiana's not good, people.
No, not at all.
Penn State can very well go to College Park and lose.
Mm-hmm.
They are on upset alert as well. Florida State's at Pitt. I don't think it's raining. But if it was that good prime Pittsburgh November weather, Florida State would be on upset alert too. Because like we said, things when you play out there and it's raining at Pitt,
it's a recipe for disaster.
It is. It is.
That's just what it is, folks. Like, you can't escape that. It's Pitt.
So I think the fact that it's not raining, I think Florida State should be fine. But Pitt is not easy to play at Pitt. No. That's another difficult place to play at, especially if the weather was weathering. Right. I think Florida State should be extremely happy that the forecast is clear and cold and not wet, windy, and all the other stuff that comes with that. So,
absolutely.
I mean, but yeah, there's matchups that we all over the country that can yield some interesting results. Mm-hmm. Like we said, A&M and Ole Miss. As much as we want to count Jimbo out, it smells like a game that A&M wins because Ole Miss be finding ways to lose games that we know they shouldn't lose. Ole Miss shouldn't lose this game at home.
No, not at all.
Not to this A&M team, but A&M, they have talent. And talent gives you a chance in any game, no matter what's been going on in the season or how crazy your coaching situation is. They have guys. It's not outside the realm of possibility that A&M wins that game.
I know.
It's going to be a wild weekend, man. This could be a weekend for the ages.
Yeah.
Of just what all could happen.
Yeah, who knows? Dabo could beat Notre Dame this week.
Yes. I ain't betting on it that he does. I honestly, I think that is. We might as well transition into it, into Bolton's best bets.
Yes.
For the week.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are at that point of the show before we head out today where we have Bolton's Bets, another edition of Bolton's Bet.
Another edition of Bolton's Bets.
So go ahead, Chris, let us know what we got for the slate this week.
The first one I have for you is Iowa State. Iowa State 2.5-point favorites taking on Kansas. The Cyclones are at home. I'm liking what I've seen from Iowa State. I bet on them to cover last week, and they came through for me. I think Kansas, I believe they'll be without Daniels again, and as well as their backup has played, he has his struggles and faults as well. And his Iowa State team has really been putting it together lately. I think the Cyclones, can expose Kansas, a Kansas team that, as we say, man, you know, they just pulled off the big one, and you're off the high of beating Oklahoma. Now you guys travel to Iowa State. It's prime for the upset, since Kansas is a team that's ranked. But Iowa State's a team that's favored. I think Iowa State covers.
I think so too. I think Kansas may be riding a little bit too high after beating Oklahoma last week. So
I think so too.
Yeah, I think Iowa State still. While you know they're not the best team in the Big 12. Watch out for those Cyclones.
The Cyclones have after having a tough start to the season, the Cyclones have looked like one of the better teams, and they are quietly under the radar playing some really good football. My second bet, I think it's Notre Dame against Clemson. I think Notre Dame, there is a world where Clemson makes this a game. There's a lot going on in South Carolina. A lot going on in Clemson. Dabo out here sounding off on the coaches' game on the Monday show.
Oh my God!
Going at the callers, telling them if you think you can do better than me, to come take my job. You know what I'm saying? To apply for the job. Like he's you know what I'm saying, pounding his chest. This place ain't had no national championships for over such and such years till I got here. Like, he's feeling the heat.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at my boy for letting these folks know, though. As much as, like for real, though. Clemson's been a good program, but, like, Dabo has taken him to levels that Clemson has never seen before.
Yeah.
They need to ease up off him, honestly. Like, relax.
It's
the man won you.
Bad year.
He done won your championships. You know what I'm saying? He had you in some games. Like, he brought a national championship to Clemson. But I still have to say, the fan base, there's a lot of heat on him. That the seat is warming up. Whether it should or shouldn't is irrelevant. Because it is what it is. The reality is, people are going crazy out there, and they are going insane, and he's on the hot seat currently. I ain't saying he's about to leave or get fired, but that seat is definitely heating up out there. He's feeling it, and Notre Dame is rolling. I think this Notre Dame team is different than the Notre Dame teams you might have seen before that looked really good, but you couldn't trust them. This Notre Dame team, I think, is legit. They lost to Louisville because they went through a run of games that was just ungodly. The schedule caught up to them.
I agree.
And not to take away Louisville their win in that ball game, but they were definitely aided in the fact that Notre Dame had a slew of games that's just one week after another that was just extremely difficult, especially that Ohio State game and how tough and physical it was.
Right.
So I think Notre Dame is for real. I still think they have an outside chance of being in the playoffs. I mean, they are legit if chaos happens. So I think Notre Dame covers. I think Notre Dame wins by a couple touchdowns. Clemson has not looked good offensively. Cade Klubnik has not looked like the guy we thought he was when he committed to Clemson. Marcus Freeman has his team looking really good at Notre Dame. That defense is tough.
Yeah.
And it's stout.
Yeah.
And Clemson they don't have the same athletes they had before on that offense. I love me some some Shipley. He ain't gonna win this game alone.
Nah. They're trying to treat Shipley like he's the Christian McCaffrey of the team, and it's just like, nah. Like you don't even have like a decent offensive line to take you to those heights. If it was different, then yeah.
Yeah. So I think Notre Dame, they went by a couple touchdowns. And again, come Monday, boy, that Clemson press conference that Monday.
The gift
and that call-in show, that's going to be must-see TV. Because Clemson, I think, potentially is on the verge of missing a bowl game.
And the Clemson faithful would not like that.
If I'm not mistaken, Clemson is 4-4 currently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're 4-4. If they lose this game, they will be 4-5. And we've highlighted before the rest of their schedule. They play Georgia Tech next. You can't just chalk that up as a W.
No, you can't.
Because Georgia Tech isn't having the problems on offense y'all are. That's North Carolina. Oh, speak of the devil, you play North Carolina the week after. And then you close the season with the rivalry game on the road at South Carolina.
It doesn't get any easier. It just doesn't. So, look, I was going to have to put a rabbit out of his hat. He's going to have to do something.
Yes. I think that's another really good bet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna close the show with one last one.
What you got?
Excuse me. Well, you know I love my Pac-12, man.
I think we all.
We all do. I'm going out west. I need Arizona back. We gonna run that Arizona one again. Arizona taking on UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
UCLA is a good team. Arizona, they, like we said before, this Arizona team is putting it together. And even though they are young and haven't been in this position before, coming off a big win, I trust this coaching staff. And I like what I've seen from Arizona and the struggles they've had this year, some of the battles they've been through. This team is a little older than what their classification would tell you with some of their players. Losing a tough game on the road at Mississippi State, going anywhere in the SEC early in the season, that's going to be the tall task for a young team. And that was part of their growing pains, losing that ball game in overtime, a game that they will tell you that they should have won. You lose to Washington in a close game, 7-point game. Who else? I believe you lose to USC in triple overtime.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, that's another one like that. They were so close to winning, but then you put it together and you beat Oregon State. UCLA is a good team. They aren't unbeatable though. Colorado was right there in the ball game with them, and Colorado has some players, but this Colorado team, it's not. They aren't that good either. They're fighting and clawing their way to be bowl eligible.
Right.
And UCLA did not. They ain't put the beat down on Colorado that like a Oregon did, or they didn't run up the points like a USC did against a Colorado. Arizona has a good team. Arizona is at home. I think Arizona is beyond its years, and they're coming onto their own. And I expect the Wildcats to get another win. I say Arizona money line, like to take Arizona to win the ball game.
Nice. Arizona reminds me of the Mississippi State Leach team where Mississippi State went to Auburn and they were down like 21 points and then just like came back after halftime.
The new team.
And it was just like a brand new team. Like, I think the way that team had clicked under Leach's helm is the way that this Arizona team is starting to click now. And
I can see that.
Yeah, and it's working right now. Like they look almost unstoppable when you see them. So
This is a really good team.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. So I think Jed Fish is doing a spectacular job out there with the Wildcats right now, and it won't surprise me if he wins Pac-12 Coach of the Year.
If they win this game again, this is another team that needs to be in the top 25.
Oh, hands down.
I think they need to be in the top 25 if they win this one. This is a really good team. I like Arizona a lot. So those are my 3 picks.
Awesome.
Iowa State, Notre Dame, take them to cover. And Arizona they got 2.5 points. I believe UCLA is a 2.5 point favorite. So you could take the points, or you can live a little and feel and be confident in them pulling off the upset and take the money line with Arizona. Forget the points.
Yeah. And UCLA, is a 2.5 point favorite. I see. And the over under is at 50.5. So yeah.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait, man. It's gonna be another great week in college football with all of these great games. So I can't wait for me and you to talk about it during Saturday, and I can't wait for all of you guys listening on the show to witness all of this pending chaos that's gonna happen.
Man, right.
Because I think we're due for a lot of chaos this season in college football. So we'll see. We will see.
I think we're due as well. I think this is the week. Yeah. I think it happened.
I think so too. So that's the reason why we watch the games.
It's fact. Most definitely.
Yeah. But folks, we appreciate y'all listening in on the show, of course. As always, we're on many different streaming platforms that you can get your hands onto, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube, Amazon Music, Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms. So as always, we appreciate you guys listening in, and always feel free to let us know what we're doing. And like, comment, and subscribe to the show. All of that helps. It helps us know what we're doing and how we can improve the show for the future for you guys. So yeah, we very much appreciate it. But yeah, that's it for me and Chris. Week 10 of the college football season is upon us, and we can't wait to come back on Monday for our Monday recap show to go over all of the crazy games in college football. But
Yes.
yeah.
It should be a good, should be a great weekend. One to remember, one to not forget.
Absolutely. I'm taking what Chris said. Oh boy, but yeah, it should be a great weekend indeed. So I hope you guys enjoy the weekend, enjoy all of the football games that's coming up this weekend with your friends and family. And until next time, we will see you guys next week. Peace.